Well, good morning. It's Thursday morning. We're reading Luke 22, 1 through 6. The feast of unleavened bread drew near, which is called the Passover, and the chief priests and scribes were seeking how to put him to death, for they feared the people. Then Satan entered into Judas called Iscariot, who was of the number of the 12. He went away and conferred with the chief priests and officers how he might betray him to them. And they were glad and agreed to give him money. So he consented and sought an opportunity to betray him to them in the absence of a crowd. So here Luke describes how they're actively seeking to arrest Jesus. But they won't send the troops in to the temple, say on a Tuesday morning, and arrest him in front of the people, because the people greatly outnumber the troops, and the people would riot, and the people would object, and it would be a bad scene. So they've got to arrest him, but they want to do it secretly, when no one's around. Luke is writing for, and he is a Gentile, writing for Gentile audiences. And so he says the Feast of Unleavened Bread, which is called the Passover, sort of explaining that a tiny bit. And they're trying to figure out how to betray him when he's away from the people. And then he says, so one of the 12, who is Jesus' inner circle, the closest disciples to him in his ministry, decides that he will betray him. And people always say, well, why did Judas do that? We don't know. Luke says, well, Satan entered into him, which is one explanation. The Gospel of John, which has no time for Judas whatsoever, he just describes him as a thief. Every time he has to mention him, doesn't just says he did these things because he was greedy and evil, which is not that different from saying Satan entered into him. Many people say, well, he probably was trying to sort of force Jesus' hand. If I betray him and he's arrested, then there'll be this confrontation and Jesus will have to take over and we'll get something going. We'll win. I don't know if that is modern wishful thinking or if that's what really was in Judas' mind. We don't know. But for whatever reason, Judas decides to betray him in order to get money, and that'll set things off. So he does, and he seeks an opportunity to betray him in the absence of a crowd. So he's going to bring the police to find Jesus when there's no one else around. And, of course, he does that on Thursday night. So this is like Wednesday, or something of that week. And tomorrow we'll read some more about the Passover and what happens to Jesus at the Last Supper, and then of course he goes to the garden and he is arrested. So we'll be reading that in the next couple of days. This notion of betraying Jesus, is something that we all should think about because we all do it. We all betray him in one way or the other. And the question is, how have you betrayed him? Have you betrayed him? How have you betrayed him? And how can you fix that? How can you set that right, or how can you make that different? How can you stop doing that and ask for forgiveness for that betrayal? These are tough questions, I know, but despite the tough questions, I want you to have a good day, and we'll see you tomorrow. I promise I'll be there tomorrow.